The person sitting across from you at the dinner table, the one who shared your blood and your childhood secrets, is currently dissecting your soul. You think you are safe because you are home. You are wrong. In fact, your proximity is precisely what makes you the perfect target. The moment you assume someone loves you too much to use you, you have already lost the war. You've been told that family is a sanctuary, but history, and Machiavelli, proves it is often the first battlefield. While you are playing the game of affection, they are playing the game of position. You feel a vague sense of exhaustion after every conversation. You feel a mounting debt you can't quite name. You are being moved like a pawn across a board you didn't even know existed. It's time to stop looking at their smiles and start looking at their hands. You have spent your life operating under the delusion that niceness is a shield. You think that by being a good son, a supportive sister, or a loyal partner, you are earning safety. But in the architecture of power, your goodness is not a virtue. It is a vulnerability. This is why you fail. When someone close to you triggers your guilt, your instinct is to explain, to apologize, and to bridge the gap. You think this signals maturity, but the primitive brain of the manipulator reads it as a successful breach of your perimeter. The biological mechanism at play here is social reciprocity. Your brain is evolutionarily hardwired to pay back perceived debts to your tribe. Manipulators, especially those in your inner circle, exploit this ancient software by creating phantom debts. They do you favors you didn't ask for, so they can demand sacrifices you never agreed to. Look around you. You know the feeling of being suffocated by kindness. You know the weight of a request that feels like a command. Most people ignore these signals because the truth that a loved one is a strategist is too painful to accept. They would rather stay a comfortable puppet than become a lonely architect. But the cost of your denial is your sovereignty. If you continue to ignore the subtle shift of the strings, you will eventually wake up to find that your life is no longer your own. Niccolo Machiavelli was not a villain. He was a realist in a world of delusional optimists. He understood that the domestic sphere is simply a smaller court, governed by the same laws of power as any empire. We are going to dissect 7 laws of covert manipulation that are currently being used to dismantle your autonomy. This is not self-help. This is self-conquest. This knowledge is irreversible. Once you see the strings, you can never go back to being a puppet. You will see the helpful advice for the control tactic it is. You will see the emotional breakdown as the strategic deployment of weakness it represents. If you are not ready to kill the part of you that craves validation from people who treat you as an asset, leave now. For the rest of you, welcome to the desert of the real. Law 1. The law of induced debt. The most lethal weapon in the manipulator's arsenal is not the threat, but the gift. The primitive desire of the human ego is to be in balance with its environment. When someone does something selfless for you, they are actually planting a seed of obligation that they intend to harvest later. This works because your brain interprets a favor as a social contract. Machiavelli knew that men are more bound by the benefits they confer than by those they receive. In the context of family, this looks like the parent who constantly reminds you of the sacrifices they made for your education. They aren't seeking your gratitude. They are seeking your compliance. Here's how this works in real life. The manipulator will perform a grand gesture when you are at your most vulnerable. Imagine you are struggling with a career choice. They step in with financial help or a heavy-handed connection. You feel relieved, but the moment you try to assert an opinion that contradicts theirs, they invoke the blood debt. The weak response sounds like an apology for having a different view. The Machiavellian response is to recognize the gift for what it is, a down payment on your future silence. You must learn to accept nothing that comes with a hidden ledger, or better yet, acknowledge the gift without accepting the debt. The paradox is that the more you try to pay them back, the more power you give them to set the interest rate. Law 2. The law of calculated vulnerability. Power does not always look like a lion. Often it looks like a wounded lamb. The fox knows that direct aggression creates resistance, while feigned weakness creates an opening. This is the strategic deployment of the victim's throne. By appearing hurt, misunderstood, or fragile, the manipulator forces you into the role of the protector. Your brain interprets their tears as a signal of trust, which lowers your cognitive defenses. Machiavelli observed that everyone sees what you appear to be, but few experience what you really are. In practice, this means a family member will use their trauma or delicate health to bypass your boundaries. Picture this. You set a boundary regarding your time. The manipulator doesn't argue. They simply become overwhelmed and need your support. If you stay firm, you are the villain. If you cave, they have successfully retrained you to prioritize their emotions over your reality. The wound is their scepter. To dismantle this, you must realize that their fragility is a choice made to ensure your proximity. Stop being the medic in a war they are winning by losing. Law 3. The law of the information siege. Information is the currency of control. The secret manipulator does not interrogate. They listen. They encourage you to vent, to share your fears, and to expose your insecurities under the guise of deep intimacy. This is a surgical extraction of your psychological blueprint. The reason this works is that we are biologically wired to bond through vulnerability. Your brain releases oxytocin, making you feel safe, while they are busy mapping your triggers. Machiavelli wrote, "The prince must be a fox to recognize traps." By knowing your traps, your shame, your regrets, your secret ambitions, they can ensure you never leave their orbit. Here is how this manifests. A concerned relative asks probing questions about your failing relationship, not to help, but to find the leverage point for when they need to isolate you later. Imagine you tell them you feel inadequate at work. Weeks later, when you try to disagree with them, they remind you that you're stressed and not thinking clearly. They use your own words as a cage. True power lies in being unreadable. Share the fruit, never the root. Law 4. The law of intermittent validation. Stability is the enemy of the manipulator. Uncertainty is their throne. By providing validation and affection sporadically, they turn your relationship into a psychological slot machine. This is the mechanism of variable reinforcement. When you don't know when the hit of approval is coming, you become hyper-focused on the source. Your brain begins to crave their good days like a drug, making you willing to endure any amount of abuse to get back to that peak. Machiavelli understood that it is much safer to be feared than loved, but the ultimate control is being the source of the love the victim fears losing. In the workplace or the home, this looks like the hot and cold treatment. One day you are the favorite. The next, you are treated with icy indifference for no discernible reason. You spend your energy trying to fix a problem that doesn't exist, which keeps you from noticing their actual agenda. The only way to win this game is to stop playing. Develop outcome independence. If their approval is a weather pattern you can't control, stop checking the forecast. Law 5. The law of social erasure. A sovereign individual is hard to control. An isolated one is easy. The manipulator will slowly erode your external support systems by poisoning the well. They do this through concerned slander. They tell you that your friends don't truly have your best interests at heart, Or they tell your friends that you are going through a hard time and need space. This is a siege tactic designed to make them your only reliable source of truth. This is effective because it creates a feedback loop where the only mirror you have to see yourself in is the one they hold up. Machiavelli knew that a ruler must prevent conspiracies by keeping the subjects divided. In practice, this means your protective partner or parent slowly makes you feel like the rest of the world is a threat. Imagine they say, "I'm the only one who really knows the real you. Everyone else just likes the version you pretend to be." This sounds like love, but it is actually the sound of a prison door locking. To counter this, you must maintain a fortress of allies. Never let one person become your entire world, or they will become your entire god. Law 6. The Law of the Prince's Mirror. The most profound manipulation is not changing what you do, but changing how you perceive reality. This is the strategic use of gaslighting to create cognitive dissonance. By flatly denying your observations or reframing your memories, they force you to outsource your judgment to them. Machiavelli noted that the vulgar, the masses, are always taken by appearances and the outcome of an event. The manipulator controls the appearance of the past to control the outcome of the future. When you confront them with a lie, they don't defend the lie. They attack your sanity. "You're remembering it wrong," or "You're always so sensitive." Here's the catch. The more you value the relationship, the more likely you are to sacrifice your truth to preserve the peace. Picture a scenario where a family member steals from you emotionally or financially. When confronted, they describe it as a misunderstanding and make you feel guilty for accusing them. Suddenly, you are the one apologizing. The Machiavellian response is to trust your eyes, not their lips. Keep a private record. Your memory is your final line of defense. Do not let them colonize it. Law 7. The Law of the False Choice. The illusion of autonomy is the ultimate trap. The manipulator will present you with two options, both of which lead to their desired outcome, making you feel like you are the one in control. This is the double bind. This works at a neurological level because it bypasses reactance theory, the urge to rebel against a command. Because you chose the path, you are less likely to fight the destination. Machiavelli advised that a prince should make others do the heavy lifting while he takes the credit. In real life, this looks like being asked, "Do you want to handle the family crisis on Saturday or Sunday?" Notice the choice isn't if you will handle it, but when. You feel like an agent of your own life, but you are just choosing the color of your chains. Imagine a parent saying, "I want you to be happy, whether you take that boring, high-paying job or just stay here and help me with the business." Both options serve their need for your stability or proximity. To break the false choice, you must look for the third way, the option they didn't present. Real power isn't choosing from a menu, it's owning the restaurant. You're listening to this thinking about how to use these laws on the people who have hurt you. You're thinking about how to win the next family holiday or expose your manipulative partner. But you're missing the point. The need for manipulation and the susceptibility to it comes from a place of fear. You are currently a rabbit looking for a better way to hide. But as Carl Jung said, "I would rather be whole than good." To be whole means to integrate your shadow, the part of you that is capable of these very tactics. Techniques are useless if your soul is fragile. If you still need their approval, they will always find a way to pull your strings. You must integrate your monster. A harmless man is not a good man. A harmless man is just a prey animal that hasn't been hunted yet. Virtue only exists when you have the capacity for darkness but choose to remain sovereign. The ultimate reverse psychology is on yourself. You can only wield these laws, or defend against them, if you reach a state of outcome independence. This means you are willing to walk away from the table entirely. This requires the death of who you are now. You must kill the good boy or nice girl to birth the sovereign individual. The world will try to pull you back into the herd because a wolf among sheep is a threat to the shepherd. Imagine a version of you 6 months from now. This version of you doesn't explain themselves. This version doesn't apologize for having boundaries. When a family member tries to guilt trip you, you feel nothing but a mild curiosity at their technique. You see the strings as if they were glowing neon lines in the air. The old you apologized for being too busy to solve someone else's self-made crisis. The new you simply says, "That sounds difficult. I'm sure you'll handle it," and goes back to your work. The old you felt the need to prove your loyalty. The new you knows that loyalty is earned, not demanded by blood. The old you was a puppet. The new you is the architect. People will react to the new you with shock. They will call you cold, selfish, or changed. They are right. You have changed. You have moved from the loved category to the respected category. There is a loneliness that comes with sovereignty. You will lose friends. Your family may not recognize you. This is the tax you pay for greatness. You have a choice: the comfort of the herd or the freedom of the wolf. You cannot have both. Start today. The next time someone close to you asks for a favor that feels like an obligation, wait 5 seconds before answering. Watch the discomfort rise in them. Watch the power shift back to you. If you're still here, you're part of the 0.01%. Most people turned this off the moment I suggested their mother might be a strategist. They went back to their comfortable illusions. But you stayed. Subscribe not to support this channel, but to make a contract with yourself. By joining Mindplicit, you are signaling that you are ready to stop being a victim of human nature and start being a master of it. We are just getting started. The rabbit hole goes much deeper than family dynamics. We are going to dismantle every social construct that keeps you small. Join the inner circle. Turn on the bell. Don't be left outside when the game gets real. I'll see you in the shadows.